Well, hello and good afternoon, everyone. Yes. This is Louis George Walker, and let's see if I can get you where you can see me here. Just a hot second. We're starting the show off today, and here we go. I'm here. There you go. Hey, how you guys doing? Let's see. We can't make this one. Got to get my filters together. The chroma key is on. Oh, okay. Hey, this is me right here, live and in living color. I'll get the background going in a minute, but you're listening to the BFTAA and More show. I am your host, Louis George Walker. I'm glad to be here with you today. This is a Monday, and we're always here Monday from 5 to 5:45 on KUAW Radio. Knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. That's what we're about here, and that's what this radio show is about. This is a partnership between the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center and the Black Family Technology Awareness Association in Kansas City, Missouri. They come together and form this radio station, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, KUAW.org. Yes, you can get us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch. Right now, we're all over the internet, too, on the audio side. You can pick us up. Let me get that pushed. There, got that button pushed to get us on the audio side. You can get me on the Get Me Radio, and if you have the TuneIn app, go to your TuneIn app and search KUAW Radio on online radio box, on My Tuner. There's a lot of ways that you can pick up KUAW. Just go into the Google or your Bing search engine, type KUAW Radio, and we'll pop up at a lot of locations. Click on one of those, and you can get us. Also, go to our website, www.kuaw.org. And you can get a little more information about the radio station on that site. So we'd hope you would come and visit with us. Also, if you go to our Facebook page, which is KUAW-radio, leave us a comment or some information that you're listening to the show, what you're listening to, how you like what we're doing. We'd be glad to hear from you. You can also leave messages during this show. I'll turn on the chat feature in a minute, and anything that you post on Facebook, it won't show your name. It'll keep you anonymous, but it will show what your comment is. So go ahead and post your comments on Facebook and check us out there. You can also go to YouTube and watch us on KUAW Space Radio, and we're right there. So, hey, this is it. So we're with you every Monday, and we like to bring you information that's going to be good for the community. And we've got some positive things to talk about today as we go into technology. We're getting ready to go into April. April is National Poetry Month. It's also the month of my birthday, so I've got a birthday coming up this month, and we're going to talk about a little bit of that. We also like to get our young people involved so that they're looking for STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, but looking at STEM pathways to get into college, to get into careers. That can be science, that can be in robotics, that can be in aeronautics, that can be in space exploration, archaeology, whatever it is. We would love to help encourage people and especially the young people, to pursue careers, pursue educational pathways in the STEM fields. So as we get ready to do that, I'm going to start off with our theme that we use every week, is what's happening this week at NASA. So we get a briefing from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. They're one of the leaders in developing technology in the United States and in the world. So let's see what's happening from the space station and deep space exploration, and even looking at the clouds and what's going on here. What's happening this week at NASA? Here we go.
Upgrade work continues outside the space station. An updated strategy for landing Artemis astronauts on the moon and unsealing pieces of the past. A few of the stories to tell you about this week at NASA. On March 23rd, the crew on board the International Space Station conducted the second spacewalk this month to continue upgrades to the orbiting laboratory. During the outing, NASA astronaut Rasha Shari and European Space Agency astronaut Matthias Maurer worked to install new thermal system and electronics components on the station's U.S. segment. They also worked to install a power and data cable on the Columbus module's Bartolomeo science platform, replace an external camera on the station's truss, and conduct other upgrades to station hardware. Also on March 23rd, we announced plans to create additional opportunities for commercial companies to develop an astronaut moon lander that can transport humans between our lunar orbiting space station known as Gateway and the lunar surface for missions beyond Artemis 3, which will be the first mission to land astronauts on the moon in more than 50 years. The announcement is part of a strategy by the agency to pursue two parallel paths for continuing lunar lander development and demonstration, one that calls for additional work under an existing contract with commercial partner SpaceX, and another open to all other U.S. companies. This effort is meant to maximize NASA's support for competition and provides redundancy in services to help ensure NASA's ability to transport astronauts to the lunar surface. One of the last unopened Apollo-era lunar samples collected 50 years ago during Apollo 17 has been opened at our Johnson Space Center in Houston. Sample 73001 had been kept vacuum-sealed and in pristine condition in anticipation of the day that scientists equipped with advanced technology could examine it. The Apollo Next Generation Sample Analysis Program is studying the sample and others like it as we prepare to send astronauts back to the moon for more samples on upcoming Artemis missions. On March 21st, the number of confirmed exoplanets or planets outside of our solar system ticked past the 5,000 mark. The milestone was reached when the latest batch of 65 exoplanets was added to the NASA Exoplanet Archive. This stream of exoplanet discoveries that began 30 years ago includes contributions from NASA's TESS, Kepler, and Spitzer space telescopes, with more discoveries possible in the future from our James Webb and Nancy Grace Roman space telescopes. On March 22nd, the newest U.S.-European sea level satellite named Sentinel-6 Michael Freilich became the official reference satellite for global sea level measurements. This means that sea surface height data collected by other satellites will be compared to the information produced by Sentinel-6 Michael Freilich to ensure accuracy. The satellite, which is named after NASA's former Earth Science Division Director, the late Dr. Michael Freilich, was launched in November 2020. That's what's up this week at NASA. For more on these and other stories, follow us on the web at nasa.gov/twan.
All right. That's what's going on at NASA. Hey, how you guys doing? Yeah, I look a little bit different there. Got the background back up. Yeah, we always have to play around with our video a little bit as we get ready to start the show, but we're glad that we're here with you today. Hey, and as I was telling you earlier, we like what was going on at NASA, and as it says, some of it is for going in deep space, but as they're watching sea level rise and all of that with the satellites, we're able to look at things back here on Earth. So some people think that, well, NASA's just always shooting stuff in space and wasting money. But no, it's not that. That science is being used to help us in a lot of ways that we may not be aware of. I say I do have someone that's watching me. It says I'm watching and a waving hand on from Facebook. So one of our Facebook listeners, we want to say thank you for continuing to watch KUAW Radio. We're glad we're there or here. And we'd also like to say, if you'd like to text us or post something on Facebook that we can see and that we can tell you about, either that you like our show or that you don't like our show, or if you have a question about something that I say or that I bring up, just go ahead and leave me a message on Facebook. As you see on the bottom of the screen now, it'll show up there. We can read it and keep you informed or make sure that we're paying attention to what you're paying attention to for us. So that's one of the new features that we've turned on here as we learn more about our equipment and how we can enhance the viewing opportunities for all of us. Then that's one of the things that we're doing. So that chat feature is now available. So use it. Let me know how I'm doing and what I'm doing if that makes any sense. But yeah. Today, like I say, we're getting ready to go into National Poetry Month. That's going to start on April the 1st. April the 1st is Friday this year, and National Poetry Month, it says, is a opportunity to celebrate the expressiveness delight, and pure charm of poetry. It is a special occasion that reminds us of the integral role of poets and poetry in our cultures. Poetry helps us appreciate the world around us and empathize with one another. Typically, we think of poetry as boring and nerdy, but this month allows us to change our perspectives and look upon poetry as a rhythmic art of expressing one's love and thoughts. Now, the history of National Poetry Month, the success of Black History Month in February and Women's History Month in March led to the initiation of National Poetry Month in April by the Academy of American Poets. The first ever National Poetry Month was celebrated in 1996, but the history of poetry itself goes back about 1,000 years ago. During the 2100 BC, that's quite a ways back, the Epic of Gilgamesh is cited as the first ever written piece of poetry which tells an epic tale of a hero in ancient Mesopotamia. Storytelling about history was quite popular until the 20th century, but is rarely used nowadays. Ballads were a common way of capturing history during the Middle Ages. They were also used to announce news to kingdoms. An ode with a lyrical poem that glorified an event or a person. It was also used in the past to tell stories about victories. Aristotle described 3 genres of poetry: epic, comic, and tragic. This paved the way for poetry to flourish throughout Europe and the Middle East. However, these 3 genres were changed by aestheticians to epic, lyric, and dramatic. The genres of comic and tragic identified by Aristotle were combined into subcategories of the dramatic. Modern Western poetry comprises various forms and genres from different cultures and the past. So history is coming up. This is History Month. I mean, it's coming up. History is always with us. But the National Poetry Month is coming up, and we're talking about the history of the month, which, like other months that everybody's like copying, we've got the Black History Month, and it just seems to roll from there. But it's always good to think about that. And the reason I bring up National Poetry Month is I want to let you know that we are a part, KUAW Radio, BFTAA, and others, including the Music and More Foundation, are doing something in Kansas City that is a little new, and I think it's going to be something that probably will start happening every year. There's going to be a poetry, poetry readings or poetry in the park going on every Saturday, right in the community here, down at the Bruce Watkins Amphitheater, which is right there by the Freedom Fountain, on Cleveland and, is that Emmanuel Cleaver Boulevard? Yeah. So if you go there Saturdays, and let me pull that out. There we go. From 4 to 7 p.m., National Poetry Month. Every Saturday in April from 4 to 7. There's going to be something going on there. And it looks like April the 2nd, it's going to be hosted by 337. April the 9th, M. Yvonne Payne. April the 16th, Comfy Stennis. And April the 23rd, Richter. So there's going to be poetry in the park, in the amphitheater, right down there at Cleveland and Emmanuel Cleaver Parkway, that amphitheater that goes down to Brush Creek. So bring your lawn chairs, bring your blankets, bring your Frisbees, whatever you want, and come on out and enjoy poetry, enjoy welcoming spring in. So we're looking for warmer weather to be happening then, and having a great time. So that's going to start this Saturday in the park. And we want you, KUAW is a part of it. The group GYRL, G-Y-R-L, Giving Yourself Real Love, is a part of it. I can't see who else is on this flyer that I'm looking at. I'll have to get a bigger picture of it. But there's a lot of community organizations that are involved with it. So National Poetry Month starts this Saturday in the park, right there at Cleveland and Emmanuel Cleaver Parkway. It's the amphitheater. I think that's the Bruce Watkins or the Spirit of Freedom Fountains Amphitheater. So right down there that goes down to Brush Creek, the poets will be down at the bottom at the stage area, and there's a whole slanted up hill that you'll be able to, put blankets on or chairs and listen to the poetry and everything that's going to be going on there. There's got a lot that's going to be happening. I'll get some more information from Terrence. This was founded by the Music and More Foundation, who helped sponsor. KUAW is using a grant from there, and there's other groups that are involved that are going to be using funds that have been provided to help put this on. Mr. Brandon Ellington's going to be there. He is the MC or Master of Ceremonies. And he's a 3rd District at Large City Councilman, so he'll be there. So come out and support your community, support arts in the community. Arts are what we need. We have a lot of violence and we have a lot of tension and stress going on, and sometimes things like poetry, good music and stuff can help take that edge off. So this may be something that's good for the community to help people relax, get in touch with themselves. So that was one of the flyers that they have out. So you may see this on Facebook, on YouTube, on our page, but it's for National Poetry Month. We'll talk about it again a little bit later in the show, but I wanted to get that up there. So that's something that's coming up. Now, as we move forward, there's a couple of things in the news. I don't know if you happened to see the Oscars last night. You may not have saw the Oscars last night, but everybody's been seeing the videos on YouTube and Facebook and stuff of Will Smith as he slapped Chris Rock last night. And that was really, I want to say, an inappropriate display for the time, at the Oscars and stuff. Chris Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett. They are friends, or they were friends, acquaintances. They've worked on movies together. They, Hollywood types. But he made a joke about her hair being cut short, and we find out that she's suffering from alopecia, which has caused her hair to fall out. But Will Smith took offense to it and walked up on the stage and slapped him. So that was in the middle of the Oscars, So that's definitely not the way to behave. Yes, you want to defend your wife, your girlfriend, your lady's integrity, but there are ways to do it, because everybody will turn around and say that, well, they don't like violence, but he had to do something. Well, he didn't have to go up there and hit the man. He didn't have to go up there and slap the man. That's how we get into violent situations, because one person gets slapped, the other person pulls a gun. Next thing you know, somebody's hurt. Somebody could be dead and somebody else could be in jail. So we need to think about the examples that we set for people, or that we set for the public at large. And then as you're going to such a dignified thing and trying to show your best self, to get up and say, well, yeah, I'm showing where I'm from, or Philly came out of me, that don't work. That don't work. You're supposed to be better than that, You may have disagreed with the man's joke or stuff, and you could vocally say something about it and say, hey, man, we don't have to talk about this off stage. We're going to do something, I don't appreciate it, something like that. But to go up and to hit somebody is not the way to take care of it. Some of you may disagree. Some say he did a good thing, or that's the way to stand up. But think about that when you see fighting and shooting and killing on our streets. What if they were just defending their woman? If a man made a joke about his woman, so he pulled out his yak and killed him. Does that have the same thing? Oh, he went too far. Well, what's too far? So we have to be careful of showing and demonstrating a violent nature at times that it just really isn't called for. So that was something that went on, and hopefully they can get together. Chris didn't press any charges on him. There's no assault thing, so they don't have to go to court about it, and it won't be hashed in the news again and again, more than it is right now, because it's definitely in the news, and you can bet that probably by the time the next Oscars come along, they're going to talk about it again. It'll be right back up there. Remember last year when this happened and that? So it's not something that's going to go away for a long, long time. As we watch the Oscars, there'll probably be more people tuning into the Oscars next year just to see what's going to happen. But that was a bad event. Hopefully, they can smooth it out. That they can get apologies and straighten up so that they don't lose a friendship over it. They are colleagues. They do work together. Knowing that there's not a whole lot of black stars, that they have to know each other. So it would be something, hopefully, that they could get together and work out. Another tragedy that happened was a St. Louis young man that died down in Florida on an amusement park ride. And I got this off of the Black World News from Victor Omandi. Says attorneys have been hired by the parents of a teen who died after falling from an amusement park ride in Florida. 14-year-old Tyre Sampson of St. Louis, Missouri, died after falling from Icon Park's free fall drop tower ride on Thursday night. Sheriff's detectives will assess if the occurrence was accidental or deliberate. It appears to be a terrible tragedy, says Orange County Sheriff John Mina. Attorneys Ben Crump and Bob Hillard said the boys' parents had hired them separately on Saturday. The attorneys are requesting that anyone who witnessed anything to get in touch with them. The family is shocked and heartbroken at the loss of their son, and that, that would be a thing. This young man was the kind of son every parent hopes for, an honor roll student, an aspiring athlete, and a kind-hearted person who cared about others. Needless to say, his family is absolutely devastated. That comes from Attorney Crump. And we all know Ben Crump. He's definitely been on a lot of cases lately. Johnny Cochran, move aside because Ben Crump is the man now. Families have the right to expect that these national theme parks making millions of dollars will keep their children safe and will put that safety above all else, noted Hillard. As per the Icon Park website, the free fall takes riders to the top of a 430-foot tower, tilts their face to the ground, and drops them at speeds of up to 75 miles an hour. According to the sheriff's office, it is the world's tallest freestanding drop tower. A safety inspection report acquired by CNN revealed that the site passed a safety inspection in December before it was authorized to open. The ride has been halted until further notice while the event is investigated, and the firm says it is cooperating fully with the sheriff's office and other authorities. The event is purportedly shown in a video posted on social media. Yonel Sampson said his son was an honor roll student, an ambitious football player. Sampson was in Orlando for spring break with his football team, said his father. Yonel said that his son was a very good young man. He was a big teddy bear, a gentle giant, a kind-hearted kid who would give the shirt off his back to a stranger in need. And you have to feel and hopefully your prayers will go out for that family to lose a young man, 14 years old, go down for spring break and fun and die. That that the family is devastated by that happening. It's a sad occurrence. We have to definitely hope that they don't find negligence on the part of the park people. I don't know, what's going on there, but I guess there'll be an investigation and they'll find out. So everybody, when you go out and to these parks, you still have to be careful. You still maybe need to check yourself if you're old enough to make sure that your safety belts are fastened, that they're locked in. Pull on them when you sit down. Make sure that everything is hooked up, because I tell you, those rides, and they try to make them more thrilling than ever. This is like the world. Everybody wants the world's tallest, the world's biggest, because that attracts more people, more money. But sometimes, we get carried away with trying to be so big that we forget some of the detailed things. Everybody wants to have, it's just like that slide they had over in Kansas where the young man got killed, the water slide. The biggest water slide, you want to get on the biggest, you go the fastest and stuff. But, with speed, with all of that, becomes more danger. So just saying you got the biggest and all of that, yeah, you may sell a few more tickets, but what's it worth? What is the price? What do we pay for that? So yeah, we want to make sure that we do things safely. I hope they find out so that this doesn't happen to any other family. We don't want it to happen to any other family. As I said, the chat line's open. Tell me what you think about that, about the young man that fell out of the ride, or even about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. He tore him up too. But you can put your comments, you can put questions, or let me know how you feel right in the chat on Facebook, and it'll pop up on the screen here. So just let me know what you think about that, and I'll see it. If you see this later, you can still put it in on Facebook, but we'll get to you as we check our Facebook page, because this will be on where you can watch it again later and later. So hopefully we'll get some information or get some of you guys' opinion about Will Smith and about the ride in Florida. All right, as we keep moving forward, I did want to remind you again that April will be National Poetry Month. There will be some events going on in the park, in the amphitheater down by the Bruce Watkins Center, the library that's right there at 43rd. I'm not 43rd, but at Emmanuel Cleaver and Cleveland. Right there, there's a amphitheater that goes down to Brush Creek. They got a stage area down there. Well, that's where it's going to be at. I was looking at some more information on it, and I saw. Let's see if I can get this up here. Oh, that's the same one you saw. Let's see. There's no. Okay, yeah, there we go. It says here, and I guess this is one of the latest on there. It says from 4 to 7 p.m. on April the 23rd, it will be hosted. The poetry will be hosted by Tyrone Gathers Jr., and he's a poet and an educator at Raytown Middle School. And Tyrone actually does have a show right here on KUAW Radio that you can check out on Tuesdays at 7 p.m., and it's called The Source of the Inkwell. So if you want to check out Tyrone Gathers, be sure and check that out. But this open mic poetry sessions and stuff will be happening April the 23rd. It's called the Freedom Fountain Amphitheater. I see that there. So this is open. It's free to the public. You don't have to buy any tickets. And if you can see in this picture down to the side, I don't know if you can see my mouse. No, I don't think you can. But anyway, that's going down toward Brush Creek. So that's the amphitheater that it's going to be at. So April the 23rd, Mr. Tyrone Gathers, the host of Source of the Inkwell right here on KUAW Radio, will be emceeing that night or be hosting that night. So be sure and check him out. This is National Poetry Month every Saturday. So we want you to check that out. I think it's a good thing, and hopefully we can make it big so that it's seen nationally and internationally all over the world of what we're doing here in Kansas City and the poets that we have here in Kansas City, so that they can get some recognition. So I know if you've been down on the Vine, they have poetry there every Thursday night at the corner bar down on 18th and Vine. And you can go there every Thursday night throughout the year and hear poetry, spoken word, and all of that. So, let's support our poets. They are artists also, and they could use your support. It's a creative art, and we need to support the artists in our community, whether they be poets or painters or musicians or rappers. The arts are important in our lives, and we should support the arts. We should go to see plays and to see movies and to look at art and displays, visit museums that we have here. All of that, somebody works, somebody creates to make, So if you've been down to 18th and Vine, you've got 2 museums down there that some people in Kansas City have never been through. You need to go through the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, and you need to go through the Jazz Museum, because those are Kansas City attractions that celebrate our people. And there's a lot of good art that goes on in there. So check them out. That's my thing for for this month coming up. As I said, April is my birthday month, and one of the things that we do in April for KUAW Radio, along with my birthday, is I do a fundraiser to help support KUAW Radio. So once again, I will be doing my birthday fundraiser for 2022, George Walker's birthday fundraiser for 2022 to support KUAW Radio to help us keep and continue to improve this radio station, our broadcast, the work that we are doing here, and to reach more people in the community and the world. So I want you to support on my birthday fundraiser will be coming up on Facebook. We'll also be doing a drive on my show in April as we get towards my birthday. It is on April the 14th. But we're going to be raising funds for the Black Family Technology Awareness Association and KUAW Radio, and that's going to be taking place starting the very first day of April. Yeah, we've got some new things coming. We've already started another new show. If you were here, you saw the radio stage that was on last week. Great show starting off with theater actors and promoters that are going to be coming on once a month. We have a new syndicated show, Soul on Soul, with Fenice Demps, that's going to be starting April the 4th. No, that weekend here. It's a syndicated show, and we're going to broadcast it on Saturday. So we'll be broadcasting it the first time. No, take that back. The first time Friday. So it'll come on April the 8th. So check out Soul on Soul, and I believe I've got it scheduled for 6 o'clock next Friday. Not this Friday coming up, but next Friday. So that's a new syndicated show. There's going to be a lot of R&B, a lot of new R&B and soul singers that are putting out music, so that you hear some of the old school soul and R&B that I play on Scatter's old school jams. But we're going to be bringing you some of the new singers. Matter of fact, I got a couple of demo CDs from some groups right now that I was listening to. And one guy, he's got a pretty good voice. So we're going to start playing some of the people that are putting out some good R&B music today. You know, yeah, it's not just from the old school stuff, but some of the new R&B that's coming out from independent artists and new artists that are starting up. So be sure and tune in to Soul on Soul. There's going to be some interviews and things going on. So we're going to play it on Friday, and then we're going to do a rebroadcast on Sunday. So we're bringing new shows in. We're trying to get more syndicated shows, but we also want to get more live shows. So if you have an idea, or if you know someone that would like to come in and work with KUAW Radio, putting on a show or getting involved in working to help the technical side of this business. If you know somebody that's working in sound engineering, we'd love to have them. If it's a young person or a college student that's doing some sound engineering and you want to get some firsthand hands-on work, come on down. We're ready for you. We can definitely use a good volunteer or two down there to help us with this radio station here. We're glad that we've got the volunteers that we have, but we can always use a few more. So now, as we've been going on, I still want to bring up a little bit more of what we do regularly, and that is to bring you some of the videos, some of the information that we get from NASA about what's going on. So we've got one more of our regular shows, and it's called Space to Ground. So sit back and let's get ready to hear some of the stuff that be a repeat of what was happening this week in NASA, but a lot of it will be new because this kind of goes mainly with the space station, the International Space Station up there that's orbiting the Earth right now. So let's stay tuned, sit back, get ready for Space to Ground.
Microgravity archaeology to a spacewalking duo. The crew on board the ISS has had a busy week. With the arrival of 3 cosmonauts to the orbiting laboratory last Friday, there are now 10 people living and working on the International Space Station. The newest crew members launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan atop a Soyuz booster, then rendezvoused and docked with the space station 3 hours later. The trio will spend the next 6.5 months science and maintenance on the orbiting outpost as part of the Expedition 66 and 67 crews. While the 63 Soyuz crew settled in their new home and adapted to life in microgravity, the rest of the Expedition 66 team spent the week prepping for the second spacewalk in 2 weeks. Some of the work performed by NASA astronaut Raja Chari and European Space Agency astronaut Matthias Maurer included the installation of jumper hoses for the thermal system. Upgrades to some of the electronics and power components on the station were also on the books for the spacewalking duo. Wednesday's EVA was the second for Chari and the first for Maurer. When you hear the term archaeology, you probably think of Indiana Jones, excavation sites, and ancient artifacts. But did you know that we have begun doing archaeology research in orbit? The ISS Archaeological Project, also known as SQUARE, is wrapping up its first test study aboard the space station. Archaeologists on Earth use a 1 meter by 1 meter shovel pit method to excavate layer by layer and reveal objects. In space, astronauts have instead taped off 1 meter by 1 meter squares in various high-traffic places throughout their home and orbit. They've taken pictures of these squares on a daily basis to reveal layers of activity within. The aim is to show how these areas change over time and to capture how the station was used day to day. Results from this study will not only preserve the daily use of the ISS for future generations, but could also be used to improve the design of future spacecraft and habitats. And that's Space to Ground for this week. Thanks for watching. But before we go, we invite you to listen to Houston, We Have a Podcast. The first private astronaut mission to the space station is right around the corner, and the upcoming Axiom 1 mission will be the topic for this week's episode. You can find this conversation by going to nasa.gov/podcasts. Houston, We Have a Podcast, along with the full library of NASA podcasts, are also available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and SoundCloud. We'll see you next week.
All right. Yeah, that's what's going on this week. No, that's Space to Ground. But yeah, some of those podcasts are really exciting, things that they're doing up there on the space station, the work that they're doing day in and day out. Sometimes we don't realize. And I thought it was really interesting to think now that the Russian cosmonauts are going up and working with the American astronauts that are up there. And, you know, with the tension that's going on right now on Earth with the Putin and Biden and what's going on in the Ukraine, it's got to be a little bit of tense times up there, you know, not that they're fighting each other, but that their governments are kind of at each other right now. And then you go up and you've got to work together and you know, they're human. Everybody's got their own opinions about things. So that's probably a really interesting time on the space station right now is that, you know, we've had the launch from Kazakhstan, which is part of Russia, and they're going up to the space station together and all of these things that are happening, even though there are other parts of the governments that are at war and at each other. So that's kind of a strange thing that science still has to go on, that the technology still has to work, and that we still have to work together in this. So, man, I tell you, it's always something interesting. But that's good because maybe that's a way that they can work together a little bit. Hope they do. Don't want to see them break out in a fight up there in space in the space station. But yeah, that's Space to Ground, and there's some others. Like I said, Houston, We Have a Podcast, and we may look for excerpts from some of those. Some of those are kind of long podcasts where they're doing some interviews with people, and it can get to be a hard listen at times. But I may listen to some, and if I can get some good excerpts that I can bring back and bring onto the show, I will do it. As I said, we've got a lot of shows that we want you to check out. Hopefully you'll listen to some, even starting tomorrow. We'll start tomorrow at 2 o'clock with the Senior Moment Show with Millie That's going to be happening. She's going to be cooking up a dish. I think it has something to do with marshmallows, but not marshmallows, but mushrooms. But I don't know for sure and stuff. That just a little birdie was telling me something about that. But be sure and tune in tomorrow at 2 o'clock to see what Millie is cooking on Senior Moments. And then be sure and stay tuned for T-Baby and The Truth Be Told. Also, Tyrone Gathers, who's going to be hosting one of the Saturday in the Parks during National Poetry Month. He has Source of the Inkwell that comes on at 7. And then at 8 o'clock, Lene Gray with the Lene Gray Show. So I want you to check those all out and continue to listen to all the shows that we have here at KUAW Radio. We have some good news shows. We have some shows about union organizing. We have shows about making contact with others, and was it time for useful consciousness. So there's a lot of shows that you can listen to on KUAW where you get some good information. Also, we have some old time, what they called Negro radio back in the day, but from in the 40s, back when the war was going on, and how blacks were participating in the war effort and how they were protesting conditions even then. If you listen to some of our shows, that you'll pick that up, and that's on Destination Freedom. So Destination Freedom was a radio show out before they had televisions. And they were talking about the conditions of African Americans and what we were doing good, what we were doing to make our lives better here in the United States, even in the 40s. So sometimes we think that all the change is getting made and people have only started trying to agitate for change in the 60s or in the 70s or in the 2000s and stuff. But check it out. We've been doing things, and there were black papers that were agitating for freedom and for better conditions and to improve our lives that were going on even before radio was invented. It's not new. Ever since African Americans have been on these shores in the United States, they have been part of and fighting for the United States and for the United States to live up to its creed that all men are created equal. So this isn't nothing new. But the struggle continues. The struggle goes on. We have to continue to stay vigilant to make this a better world. So as we go out today, just remember, love one another, stand up for each other, and respect each other. You know, I like that you join with me today. As I say, anytime that you feel like commenting, comment. It will show up in my chat on the screen. I can respond to you. So we'd love to hear from you. This is the BFTAA and More Show, Black Family Technology Awareness Association in Kansas City, Missouri. That's part of KUAW Radio. So we've come together with the WEB Du Bois Learning Center, and we bring you this knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Join us here every Monday from 5 to 5:45 on the BFTAA and More Show. Thank you. Have a good night. We'll see you next week. Be good.